BCCI has announced a 15-member squad for the T20 World Cup that will be held in UAE and Oman starting October. And with this announcement, a lot of excitement is all around. Of course, there's an IPL season in between now and this T20 World Cup. Nevertheless, we decided to speak about this and discuss it a little. The Virat Kohli-led team will walk into the tournament with a perfect mix of young talent with the likes of Ishan Kishan and the experienced cricketers like Rohit, Bumrah and Shami. What comes in, and I must say as a pleasant surprise, is that former captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni has been appointed mentor for the team. A year after he retired from international cricket, disappointing many of his fans. But at least he'll be there and at least he'll have a role. And that has excited many people. That's also triggered quite a bit of debate. But what exactly will his role be and will it actually work with Ravi Shastri on board as head coach and Virat Kohli as the captain? Can we benefit from the presence of Mahendra Singh Dhoni as the mentor? There have also been some other surprises, surprise exclusions specifically from the squad, with the biggest one, of course, being Shikhar Dhawan and Mohammad Siraj, who've been in good form in the ongoing test series in England. Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav also made way for Varun Chakravarti and Rahul Chahar. And of course, the big one, Ravichandran Ashwin, who's not been a regular in India's limited over circuit, makes a comeback. India has also kept Shardul, Shreyas and Deepak Chahar on standby. So we're going to talk about some of these choices made, if there are hits and misses. But we will begin with, of course, the biggest announcement that came in with quite a bit of actually clarification with Mr. Jai Shah when he was making the announcement yesterday. Said that the decision to appoint Mahendra Singh Dhoni had actually been done taking everybody on board and after holding conversations with everybody. I say good evening to Vijay Lokpalli, sports journalist, Alan Sippi, former cricketer, Vedam Jaishankar, author, joins me this evening, and Hemang Badani, former cricketer, with me this evening as well. Hemang, let me start off with you actually to understand how do you see this working? You already have a team of coaches and a head coach who's there, well settled, well entrenched. You have Virat Kohli, who's been the captain for a while, other seniors who are present. What role do you see now Mahendra Singh Dhoni playing there, and how does it fit in the current grid?
Well, I think the word that they've used is mentor, but I think the word I would use is a friend. I think Dhoni, the man, has always been somebody who is extremely approachable, somebody who is always there when you need one. And I think we've also seen in the past that the partnership between Dhoni and Kohli has been brilliant over the years, and I don't see that changing now. And I'm very sure that Kohli, the captain, would have been spoken about this, and he would have given his go-ahead, and hence Dhoni is here. But I think this partnership is actually a good sign going forward. Dhoni, the brain, he's still playing cricket, active sport, playing IPL cricket. Kohli we've seen in the past that even with Dhoni being the captain, Kohli being the captain in recent times, when Dhoni was still part of the Indian side, there were so many occasions you could actually see Kohli going to Dhoni. And I think this will just be an extension of that.
Okay, so you're saying it will be just like the old times and just an extension of that, and that's it's the friend who's back on the side as we go into T20. Mr. Vijay Lokpalli, do you agree? And whose idea do you think this was?
Obviously, it was made very clear whose idea. It was Jai Shah, which would be BCCI, because it doesn't necessarily mean an individual. You'll have to take it as a BCCI suggestion.
Right.
And Hemang has said it beautifully that he's a friend. So mentor is just a term they have used. It can be anything. I mean, but friend is a good term. He is friendly and he understands and he knows the winning ways. He's won 2 World Cups. So he will be the best man to tell you in a tight situation what to do and how to do. So I think it's a very welcome move, and it will add to the team's strength, overall preparation and execution of whatever plans they have.
Well, actually, nobody can deny the experience that Dhoni brings on. Nobody can deny the kind of strategies that he brings on. The fact that he's been part of the team, led the teams who've brought us this World Cup in the past as well, Alan Sippy. For many, this would be a gain. But when there are too many cooks, it can also spoil the broth, some say. Could that be the case?
Well, Tanvi, I personally, I mean, everybody has their own opinion, but I personally think this is a masterstroke by Mr. Jay Shah. I think the reason it's a masterstroke, knowing the Indian team and knowing how they operate, it's been quite a few years since Ravi Shastri was coach when Dhoni was captain. And at that time, Virat Kohli was the vice captain. So these three have a wonderful bond. And Mr. Jay Shah would have noticed that bond. But the most important thing, Tanvi, in this thing is nothing to do about, I think, friendship or anything. It's just the trust, the complete trust that the three of them have with each other. Dhoni has trust in Virat, Virat has trust in Ravi, Ravi has trust in Dhoni. So this trust between three of them is amazing. And this trust is not, you don't get it overnight. It's built over a tenure. It's built over the years that they've been together. So I personally think Mr. Jay Shah has got it absolutely spot on because he is now playing a card where he's giving the team a feel-good factor. This feel-good factor, Dhoni will hardly play any major part, but he will be there just to guide them, just to give them that comfort level. He will not interfere with anything in the game. He will just help them. So for me, this is a masterstroke and well done to Mr. Jay Shah.
But what is it, Alan, that you think Dhoni now adds to? What was missing in team Ravi Shastri, Virat Kohli and the rest of the men that Dhoni can actually bring on the table?
Dhoni can bring one and most important thing that Dhoni can bring is calmness. That man is a legend. He has done so much over the years that he's been playing cricket. He's one of the most successful captains that we've ever had. So that man brings calmness. He brings a persona that the youngsters, people like Rishabh Pant will follow. All these guys, they will get goose pimples when Dhoni walks in, not because they know him as a friend, because they know what he has done in the past. They know what kind of a guy he is. They trust him. I come back to this point of trust. I've been with this Indian team for the last couple of months. I've seen them. They are in incredible shape. The reason they're in good shape is because they trust one another. It's so difficult, family. Let me just add this one particular point for the viewers. It is so difficult to be in a COVID, in a bubble for three months that this Indian team has been there. But you see them, I've seen them in first hand. You see them, they gel well together. They actually fight for one another on the pitch. It is incredible. Team India is really in a strong position. And Dhoni can only add to that.
Okay, I'm going to also quickly just get one more comment in on this with Vedam Jaishankar before I actually move on to the team selection.
See, I am not at all for this move. I think it's quite a crazy move because things are going on well. You won series in South Africa, you won series in Australia, you won series also, you're winning series again in England. So what's the point in putting a third person? Is it because the captain and coach are getting along well? So you put a third person, all three get along well, will you put a fourth person? I think there are too many games being played and let's be honest, yes, I'm not at all contending about Dhoni's ability. He's got fantastic ability. I'm not the one to question that. But who is the boss? What happens when there is a disagreement? There will be disagreement. When three grown-up people with three different ideas of cricket come and talk, there will be disagreement. So whose is it that is going to go forward? Now, when the two men are talking together, one of them will compromise and make up for it. But when a third person comes into it, then, you got to take sides. It's not good for Indian cricket that they are put on. There was a time when India had 4 captains in one series, and now we are heading towards having 3... I don't know whether you call them selectors or you call them mentors or you call them coach or whatever you want to call them. But if there are going to be 3 different viewpoints, and I think that's not going to make for a healthy team at all. And I think it's a very poor move. It's a very bad move. If you want to get Dhoni in, please do get him in. Get rid of Ravi Shastri. But you cannot have Ravi Shastri, Dhoni and Kohli there on the same page. There will be trouble. I mean, it's natural. There will be problems and that's not good for the Indian team at all.
Mr. Lokpalli, would you... Yes, okay. Mr. Lokpalli first and then Alan can come in.
I don't want to counter my good friend Vedam, but we haven't seen the situation. We don't even know what Dhoni's role will be, how much will he interfere, and there will be a team management. It is not just that Dhoni walks in and takes charge. It won't be like that. Ravi Shastri, Virat Kohli, and you have a mind like Dhoni, nothing wrong with it. And I'm 100% sure he is not going to interfere with selection. He is there to kind of suggest, and if they say mentoring, or if they're helping, if they say encouraging, whatever, or planning tactical moves, nothing wrong if Dhoni sits there and suggests that these moves can be helpful. So I will not read much into it. We should give it a chance. And Dhoni will definitely, my good friend Vedam, he will not spoil the show.
So let me ask you this, Mr. Lokpali, since you mentioned...
I want to get into this.
Yeah.
Because it's not a question of will he spoil the show. It's a thing is, things are happening well. Things are going well. I can understand you bring in a third person or fourth or a fifth person when things are not going well. When things are going well, you already pocketed 3 series. What is the point in trying to shake up? I mean, these are games that are being played. Let's look at it as for what it is. Let's not hide behind things like you're getting a third person in. And it's not just a question of selections. There will be strategies. There will be a whole lot of other things where there will be disagreement. There will be a disagreement. So you can't throw a spanner in the works. Things are going well. Let it go. I mean, it's shameful that the BCCI has to play these games.
If there is a disagreement, then it's the head coach and the captain of the team who gets to decide, and not the mentor. If that's how the contours have been defined, they don't need to tell us, and Mr. Jay Shah doesn't need to tell us exactly what the terms of the agreement are. But Alan Sippy, they would have to be defined for everybody who's involved.
See, Vedam has his views and I respect that. But I'm telling you, this is no ordinary third person. This is Mahendra Singh Dhoni. This is a guy who's seen it and done it all. So we are talking about a trust. I come back to this point, Tanvi. This trust, I've seen it firsthand. This trust between these 3 people, Virat Kohli, Ravi Shastri and Dhoni, is unique. So if you had put somebody else in, perhaps Vedam could have been right. It may not have worked. But that's why I say Mr. Jay Shah has played a master stroke, because he knows, and he would have spoken to Virat, he would have spoken to Ravi Shastri. He knows that there is a bond between these 3. And that is exactly that's why they played this match. So for me, Jay Shah has pulled it off brilliantly, because he knows behind the scenes that all 3 of them are comfortable with one another.
Okay.
Can I come in
yes,
here?
absolutely. Go ahead, Mr. Badani.
Yeah, I politely disagree with Vedam. I've been with him for many, many years. But my viewpoint here is, if he feels that Dhoni isn't required here, the way I see it is that, in all honesty, yes, the Indian side has done well in recent past. But I'm not convinced with the T20 format. With the T20 format, we haven't had the success that we would like. And I think that is where Dhoni has something to play. And with Dhoni being successful with the IPL franchisee, he's won a couple of World Cups. He's played a lot of cricket with these boys. And I genuinely feel that he does have a role to play. And I respect everyone's opinion. I mean, Vedam is okay to have his opinion. And this is what I feel. And I feel that if someone of his stature, who's been there in the system for so many years, would know genuinely what to say, what not to say, and how much to say. And I think with him coming into the picture, I think we should give it a chance rather than try and decide beforehand whether it's good or bad. I think it's somebody who has been there, done that, played with these people, won World Cup for us, done well in this format. So I think before we start throwing big bats, start saying things that he's not required, maybe we should be a little more open to newer things and maybe give it a chance.
So what happens to the point that Vedam made, Hemang, that they're bound to be disagreements with 3 people
which is
in
fair,
the fray.
Which is fair with humans and adults.
Yeah.
Which is fair with humans and adults, which is absolutely the way we need to have opinions, which is okay to have opinions. We are okay to have opinions. But the point is, at the end of the day, he is a mentor. And I'm pretty sure he knows where to draw a line and how much to say and what not to say. There is a coach for a reason. There is a captain for a reason. At the end of the day, the coach and the captain supersede a mentor. The mentor is there to complement things, to supplement you, to help you with better things, give you ideas. But that's where the role ends. But beyond that, it's the management, the team, which is Ravi Shastri, the coach, and Virat Kohli, the captain, that will take things forward. But Dhoni will always be there to give you ideas, give you new things, give you suggestions, things that are missed out. And I think it's important that we give this a go. I mean, going forward, we will have to wait and see whether this works or not. But I think I'm very open to this.
Okay, one point that you raised, and maybe Vedam can respond to that, is the aspect of T20. Yes, this is a well-oiled machine that's been working fine, and you said let's not disturb it. But when it comes to T20, maybe there is much to be desired.
I say, look, at the end of the day, it's still a game. And it's still cricket. It's not some other sport as such. Yes, you need a different approach for T20, but then that's the selector's job to select the right people for it. There is bound to be a problem. Now, let's go back. You might say this is not the right example, but I want to go back to Australia. Australia, the chairman of the selection committee was Greg Chappell, and he started coming into the dressing room. Finally, it became so bad, the players didn't know who to follow. And they told the Australian Commission straight away that he's driving us mad. Keep him out of it. Because he could do a lot of things. Dhoni can do a lot of things, but it doesn't mean the other lesser players can do the same things. And that's going to be a challenge. Look, he's human. Okay, I'm saying if you think Dhoni is the best guy to do it, go ahead and appoint him. But don't get into a situation where you're going to have three heads to tackle one issue, because three heads will pull it in three different ways, and that's not good for Indian cricket. And God forbid if this is used as a precedent and you start having 3 and 4 coaches and mentors and others getting into the dressing room, it's going to be chaotic. If you think Dhoni is the right man, go ahead, appoint him. Move Ravi Shastri from there. But this three I'm not at all for this three.
Okay,
Sorry.
one other aspect.
Tanvi, just to add here, Tanvi, going by that logic, then we should never be having batting coaches, bowling coaches, all of that. The game has evolved. There was a time when we just had one coach and everyone was under that one coach. And here we have a batting coach, we have an assistant batting coach, we have a fielding coach, we have a throwdown guy, there's a physiotherapist, there are 2 masseurs.
Yeah,
and this is in addition to it. Vedam, I'll finish Vedam. One second, Vedam.
Can I get it, Tanvi?
Just let Hemang finish, please. Yes.
There are times in each life, in a game, in a sport where things evolve. And I think this is just an extension of the evolution.
Okay, so let me ask this question to Alan Sippy then, because the argument being presented is already there's a head coach, then a batting coach and a bowling coach and deputy coaches. But Alan Sippy, there a hierarchy exists and the head coach gets his way at the end of the day. We are still unclear of how this structure may work. Of course, we all have the faith that Dhoni knows where to draw the line.
Absolutely. First of all, let me just get back to the point, Tanvi, if you don't mind, about what Vedam said about Greg Chappell. You're talking about a different human being. Greg Chappell was a great batsman, but he was a pathetic coach. He wasn't good enough for Indian cricket. He did not understand the culture. He did not understand the players. He was more of a professor. With due respect to him, he was trying to lead that is my way or the highway. Dhoni is a calm and collective person. He's much more relaxed. People can relate to Dhoni. So that's the point about Vedam. But coming back to your point about hierarchy, Tanvi, I think personally the hierarchy, the main person here is Virat Kohli. It is not Ravi Shastri and it's not Mahendra Singh Dhoni. I like the way Virat Kohli has been leading this side. Ravi Shastri, the reason Ravi Shastri is a brilliant coach is because he's an outstanding man manager. He knows how to get the best out of his team. He knows when to talk and when not to talk. I've seen Ravi, when he's angry, he goes for the players, different players he deals with differently. For example, if he has to chastise a player, he will chastise him. For example, if he wants to get around the player, he'll put his arm around him. So, for me, Virat Kohli is the head. He is the main person who will take the decisions. He'll be guided by Ravi Shastri, and now he'll be complemented by Mahendra Singh Dhoni. So, I think it's a beautiful situation to be in because each one is not worried about each other. Each one knows that the other one is going to help them. So, it's a complement rather than an agenda or politics. It's absolutely perfect. If it was somebody else, I would say it'd be difficult. But because it's Dhoni, I think Mr. Jay Shah, brilliant stroke.
Okay, I have one more question to this, Mr. Vijay Lokpalli. For the uninitiated, the news that came in the evening about a complaint being filed with the BCCI Apex Council of a conflict of interest. Now, a lot of these complaints are actually off late being filed, especially with the new set of guidelines that the Supreme Court pushed through. Is there merit to this conflict of interest complaint over Dhoni's appointment?
Yeah, but what is the conflict of interest? I mean, for someone who has won you 2 World Cups, he's served Indian cricket most loyally and he's been such a great role model. If you think you're going to put a case against him saying conflict of interest, it's very, very sad. You're disrespecting the man. And he's there because of the BCCI. He didn't come and apply for the job. They went to him. and I think he will be an asset. We should give it a chance. It is fine for us to argue and give different names, mentor, friend, whatever. But as far as Dhoni is concerned, I think the most important thing is he is going to tell you how to win the game, and he's not going to interfere. I have also known Dhoni. Hemang also knows. Vedam also you would have known. He is not the one who will impose himself. He has never done that. He understands each individual's strong and weak points. Very few captains have done that. And in any case, he has come in only after the BCCI has consulted, taken the consent of Ravi Shastri and Virat Kohli. So there is no question of he having conflict of them with them. But this case which has been filed, it's a very technical thing. We have an ombudsman. He will be the best man to answer. But it's very sad that if you put such cases against such an iconic cricketer.
Okay, fair point. Now, let's get to some of the other choices and announcements that were made. And we were discussing about, some of those who didn't get picked and got left out. Shikhar Dhawan, Mohammad Siraj being a couple of those names. The consensus, when this conversation was happening, Mr. Lokpalli, within our own group, internal group, the consensus seemed to be that, well, we may have a problem of plenty. There is so much of good talent, some of it will always get left out, and then there will be always these controversies. But how do you see these choices and the fact that, for example, Dhawan is not part of it?
I'll quickly add that, Dhawan, yes, he was dropped on form, but no selection ever will satisfy our cricket fans. But being a cricketer in this panel, I think I would love to hear Hemang's call, because I feel there is not one wrong selection in this 15, if you ask me personally. But I'll be happy to be proved wrong. And I would love to know what Hemang has to say, because he's a cricketer. He'll have a very different perspective.
Hemang?
Well, I think if I was in Dhawan's position right now, I might feel a bit slighted, to be honest, because Dhawan has been brilliant over the years. But I'm going to be candid here and mention that if you look at Dhawan's recent strike rate at the top of the innings in the T20 format has probably been just about 120, 125. And that's been a debate point for a while. Not saying he's not a good enough player. That's not the point I'm making here. But all I'm trying to say is that in a T20 format, probably someone at the top will have to be a little more aggressive than what Shikhar is at the moment. And I think in that sense, the Indian team has decided that maybe that we will probably look at KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma. And if need be, Ishan Kishan also can open. All better strikers at the ball at the moment compared to what Dhawan has done. But if I was Shikhar Dhawan, in all honesty, I might still feel maybe I could have been. I had one step in the Indian team, one step in the side, and I missed out on the bus.
Alan Seppi, do you have a similar view on Shikhar Dhawan? He's been... and we were just looking at his IPL performance as well. I mean, that is something to say about how he plays T20.
No, as a cricketer, I mean, I can tell you this, that, it's always sad when somebody's dropped, because, I've been in this situation before. So Shikhar Dhawan, it's unfortunate. Yes, he's been in form, but it's unfortunate. But if you look at it, the team is really good. The person that I feel a little bit bad for is Shardul Thakur. Now, this boy from Palghar, he's had an incredible test series here. And he's actually like a tiger. And this guy has been playing so well, he's missed out. So obviously he must be disappointed as well, even though he's in the standby. So you're never going to be with selection. You're never going to keep everyone happy, And this is. I think this team is very strong. They have everything lined up in the right way. They have a good backup system. That means the standbys are also good. So let's hope that this team goes and wins us the World Cup.
Well, that is the hope, irrespective of who finally makes it or not to this team. We're all rooting for the same team at the end of the day, and we're all hoping that they get home the World Cup. Yes, Vedam Jaishankar has a viewpoint.
Yeah, see, we are more than 1.5 months away from that T20 World Cup. So we don't know how many of them are going to be fit after this England series plus the IPL tournament. So I think even the selection is premature now because of COVID protocols. You don't have to send a list 1.5 months in advance. You can do it just 1 week before the event. Because again, like I said, because of COVID protocols, and you don't have to worry about the size of the squad. So those two things are taken out of the equation. Now, when you look at this side, it's filled with a whole lot of spinners, because I think the selectors have agreed and realized that, the UAE pitches are going to take a lot of turn. So there are 5 spinners. If things go well in the IPL, I would like to see somebody like T. Natarajan, the Tamil Nadu fast bowler. I don't know how well recovered he is, but you need somebody who's capable of bowling those Yorkers in the death. And I think he'll be a very useful guy. I'll also we could make a case for Prithvi Shaw right at the top, or even Devdutt Padikkal right at the top, because these are guys who can hit the ball and give you a blistering start. And of course, there's always Rohit Sharma at the other end. There is Virat Kohli to come along. But by and large, I would say that this may not be the team which finally plays for India, because by the time the IPL is over and this England series is over, I think maybe fatigue, maybe injuries, I don't know what, or maybe out of form. A lot of them will change.
Okay, too soon you say to have announced the score. A lot can change in the time between now and when the tournament actually begins. One quick question is back to Hemang, and that's on R. Ashwin and the return of R. Ashwin. And you know, he put up this score because maybe he too was a little taken aback, but very grateful for what happened, because he said every tunnel has light at the end of it, but only those in the tunnel who believe in the light will actually live to see it. What do you make of this choice?
I actually retweeted that today.
Yeah,
I quite liked it. I quite liked it. Now, in the sense that you needed an off spinner, and your options were pretty much Ravi Ashwin and Washington Sundar. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Washington Sundar isn't really ready at the moment. He's injured, and he isn't a part of the squad right now. And I don't think he's even playing the IPL. So to some extent, I'm with what Vedam said. There could be many changes as the month progresses, as we get closer to the World Cup. We don't know what will happen in England with the COVID. We've had a couple of people, or rather one person positive in that Manchester again. Do we have any more to that? Any addition to that? After that, do we have any more injuries happening at the IPL? So that we'll have to wait and see. But coming back to this, I think Ravi Ashwin has bowled extremely well. With no Washington Sundar around, if you go back and see his recent stats in the IPL, he's done well in the IPL. He's bowling a lot more slower than what he used to bowl earlier. A lot more traditional rather than trying too many things. I felt Ashwin in the middle was a bit carried away with trying the Dusra, the Tisra, and a lot many other things. But I think he's realized that he'll have to go back to his stock ball, go back to what he does best, which is off spin. And I think with him bowling slower through the air, and also what will happen is, except the Sharjah ground, the other grounds, which are Abu Dhabi and Dubai, will suit his kind of bowling. Larger ground, big grounds, he can toss the ball up, he can try and pick wickets in the middle.
Okay, thank you so much. I am completely out of time, so I'm going to thank all four of you gentlemen for joining me on this conversation. Well, that being said, the team has been announced, and now all that remains is preparations and how this team really performs. I can only say that as a Dhoni fan, I'm just excited that he is back, even if it is as a mentor. How does it work out for the team, and does it help us bring the cup home? Let's hope so. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation.